Well, today you guys join me here for one of the more sad driving review videos I'm ever going to feature here on the channel, because the 2025 Volvo V60 Polestar has already been discontinued. So let's go ahead and give it one last rip. That will never get old. So under the hood of the V60 Polestar, you're going to find Volvo's T8 powertrain, which is a plug-in hybrid which produces 455 horsepower and 523 pound-feet of torque combined. Now this is good for, Volvo states, 39 miles of all-electric range from an 18.8 kilowatt-hour gross capacity, 14.9 kilowatt-hour usable capacity, and overall, I have to say, the all-electric range was extremely impressive. Make sure you guys check out the dedicated range test here in this video. But in terms of this powertrain, as I tested last fall in the XC60 SUV, I was very impressed, and I think it's just even more impressive here in this vehicle just due to its slightly smaller, slightly lighter, and a little bit more efficient footprint. Now, what's so nice about this powertrain and just this vehicle in general is I think the fact that the gas turbocharged 4-cylinder and the all-electric motor at the rear axle are completely divorced. You know, you do have the adjustable drive modes here in the infotainment system, which are a little bit clunky, a little bit harder to get to. But I think it's, you know, very impressive, and of course is good for a 0 to 60 time of 4.3 seconds, which is rather quick, rather proper for a performance wagon just like this one. I guess I'm going to kind of compare the XC60 that I tested last fall to this vehicle, just because that's the only other real Volvo I have any sort of real experience with, and does share the exact same drivetrain, and unfortunately is the vehicle that would be, I guess, the best choice in terms of a replacement if you're at all shopping for a V60 Polestar, because, well, for one, the XC60 still does offer the Polestar trim level with the exact same suspension setup, powertrain, and we'll have to see if that continues to the 2026 mild refresh that will be coming to that vehicle. But number two is a vehicle that I would cross shop against the V60 just because of how much I enjoyed that vehicle and how similar the overall footprint and utilitarian aspect is to this one. Although, of course, as we know, I think wagons are a little bit more cool, or have that extra factor of just being more unique out on the roadway than that of traditionally, you know, a compact SUV. Now we'll go ahead and give it another acceleration. Oh, I mean, it is so swift and so unique feeling out on the market from every other plug-in hybrid I've tested here on the channel. Anyways, we'll go ahead and put the car back into its hybrid drive mode, since we might not need the extra, you know, Polestar performance or need that engine on tap every second. You immediately get this nice indicator here on the right side of the digital cluster that will tell you, I guess, how much power you have available from the all-electric motor, and then, of course, when it will transition into the gas power for that additional acceleration. In terms of the V60 Polestar, of course, one of the things that makes this so unique is the Ohlins manually adjustable dampers that underpin the suspension setup. So yes, these are adjustable, but you literally have to go underneath the hood and either underneath the vehicle or in the hatch area and adjust the knobs on the top and bottom of the damper to make them stiffer and softer. Now, I believe as of me receiving this vehicle, they're set on the stiffest setting, or what I believe to be the stiffest setting, and even in that setting, this vehicle is very well tuned, well controlled. It is quite stiff, I'm not going to lie about that, but it's not so stiff that the enthusiast would, you know, be scared to run it in this setup at all times. Ride quality is actually not all that bad. It's very stiff over the harshest of potholes and the harshest of bumps, but over the normal setup or the normal smoothness of your road, see on this asphalt right here, it's very tolerable. And I think that's partly due to the fact that this vehicle is equipped with a 19-inch forged alloy wheel with a 235/40 19-inch tire on it. It is an all-season, unfortunately not a high-performance summer tire, which would make it even more of a hoot to drive. But taking it over here, my rough section of road that I like to test all vehicles on, you can see I'm moving around, the cameras are moving around, it's stiff, but it's not so stiff that I find it uncomfortable by any means. And I might not run it in the full stiffness at all times throughout the year, but I think in the warmer months when typically the fluid and the everything inside the damper is a little bit more free flowing, I think it's definitely the right choice. And if you want the ultimate performance on a daily basis, it might be the setup for you, it might not be. So it's kind of cool that they give you that adjustment capability that you're able to choose. Now, in terms of visibility here inside of the V60, it's very good and very similar to that of the XC60. So over the hood, I have the seat almost in its lowest position, not quite all the way down. I can just barely see the top of the hood, and forward visibility is excellent. The A-pillars are quite on the smaller side. You have door-mounted mirrors, so you can actually see around them with a little bit of additional glass in the front and on the passenger side. B-pillars are a little bit on the chunkier side. In my position, you can see I am kind of right next to the biller. So here on this side, it's not ideal, but you do have standard blind spot detection. And then looking over your shoulder, that is truly where visibility is great, just like the XC60, because you have a sheer amount of glass available in both the second row and the hatch area. So you can see basically anybody that might be in your blind spot, in addition to using that electronic detection. And then out the back, once again, fantastic with the hatch area, the amount of space on the glass, and the fact that the headrests do fold down, which can be electronically controlled here on the infotainment system. So if you have them upright, for example, and need to put them down, it's one touch of the button here on the infotainment system. And of course, rear wiper as standard on a hatch, which is a must for those in our colder, snowy, dirtier climates like here in the Midwest. Now, really the only downfall of the V60, which was unfortunately also plagued the XC60 I tested, I'm going to say is the infotainment system. This is by far the worst attribute of this vehicle that I've been able to find. And to say it's the worst is not really being all that harsh on this vehicle, because it's not terrible. It's just a little bit clunky, a little bit hard to get used to, and unfortunately just makes the overall experience a little bit less ergonomic and efficient to use compared to other manufacturers that have different types of designs and technology in their cars. So the reason I say this is the 9-inch does have Google integration, Sirius XM, AM, FM, USB, Bluetooth inputs, but everything is controlled through the screen. The only physical buttons you have down here is for your engine stop start, volume, play pause, seek track, and the defroster controls are at the bottom. Outside of that, everything is through the screen. So take a look at your main homepage right here. Of course, you have the main tiles with Apple CarPlay as standard. Supposedly, Android Auto is supported on the system via a wired connection in the USB ports in the center console. I have not been able to get that to work out, so I'm not sure what the deal is with that. Anyways, it's okay. You can see your main tiles here. Now, if you want to go into some of the other apps, you hit the left button, and then that pulls up your main app screen. You can download additional apps via the Play Store and a Google account if you want to do that. Now, going to the drive modes, for example, and other vehicle settings, you hit the little gear icon at the bottom right, and this is where you'll find your drive modes at the very top. So you have to go into another sub-menu, change your drive modes just like that. We'll go ahead and put it back into Polestar for our interstate test. But it's just clunky, hard to get around, and quite different from that of other manufacturers that I've recently tested. Now, is that made up for by the performance of this vehicle? Probably. It's very good. It makes a smile on your face every single time you drive this car, but there's no physical drive mode selection button, which would make this experience so much better, because unfortunately the vehicle cannot start up in Polestar Engineer drive mode. Other aspects about the interior, the seats are absolutely phenomenal. These are the partial Nappa leather, partial cloth, Polestar specific appointed seats. You have cloth inserts on the dash which match the seat. Of course, you have the signature yellow seat belts which match the gold or yellow exterior calipers on the vehicle, and one of the easiest aspects or ways to identify the Polestar from that of the regular V60s. They're 6-piston Brembos up front, just over 14.5-inch diameter rotors with slotted rotors at the front end, so you have plenty of stopping power in addition to the regenerative braking system, of course. And just the interior of Volvos in general are extremely nicely appointed. You have stitching across the dash, all soft touch where you expect it, and one of the biggest, best highlights is the Bowers & Wilkins premium audio system, almost just over 1,400 watts of power with the integrated speakers up here on the dashboard. Again, one of the easiest ways to identify the Bowers & Wilkins over that of the standard Harman Kardon. 4-way power lumbar, and really I don't have any complaints like the XC60 of the interior, but oh, merging onto the interstate is done with absolute ease. Whether you're not in the Polestar or you're in the pure electric drive mode, there is just going to be more than sufficient power on tap from this powertrain. Now, activating the driver assistance, the pilot assist functionality is done via pressing the center button on the left side of the steering wheel. That immediately sets your speed at whatever you're traveling at, and then you can do 5-mile-an-hour increments by pressing the plus and minus on the top of that. Unfortunately, this does not have any sort of automatic lane change assist, but it does have lane centering with, of course, adaptive cruise control, and it all works pretty well. I do like the fact that you go in 5-mile-an-hour increments, or to the nearest 5-mile-an-hour increment, pressing the button one time. And if you do want to press it or change 1-mile-an-hour increments, you just simply hold it down for about 1 second, release, and that gives you that 1-mile-an-hour increase or 1-mile-an-hour decrease. I also like the fact that you can change between the lane centering or just adaptive cruise control with one press of a button here on the right side of the left side. So that will basically go from lane centering, which we are in right now. You can see it does a pretty good job. We're dead center in the lane. Road markings are pretty easy to distinguish. We'll go ahead and get into the left lane because there is a vehicle on the road. Definitely move over for stop traffic on the side of the road because, well, that's a new law for one, but it's just very courteous and there's no reason to not be able to do that. But the overall driver assistance safety suite in this vehicle is pretty good. It's not the best. There's no hands-free functionality, unfortunately, but hopefully that will be coming here like the EX90, EX30, and additional gasoline combustion vehicles from Volvo, because I would like to see a slightly more advanced system. But what it has to offer currently isn't terrible. I think it's usable in a vehicle like this and adequate compared to other manufacturers. Now, it also comes with automatic high beam assist. You have the Thor's Hammer projector LED headlights at the front end, which are adaptive in nature, so they will swivel, tilt, when the steering wheel is being turned or when you're, cresting a hill. It will do all of that adaptive function. And the output's actually not the greatest, believe it or not. That's probably another slight downfall, is there are some weird shadowing at times. They're not the worst I've experienced, but they're certainly not the best LED projector headlight either. So if you do a lot of nighttime driving, test them out for yourself, see what you think of them. But I would say they're, again, adequate. They pass all of the glare, safety, the IIHS testing standards. Overall, they're not my favorite projector LED headlight out there, but I think the design of them is extremely attractive. And I think the exterior design of the V60 in general is extremely attractive, just like that of the XC60. Now, in terms of fuel economy with the V60 Polestar, well, to be honest, I'm not going to be able to give you a very fair and accurate number on that because of the way I've been driven it to the way it deserves to be driven. But with the XC60 recharge I had last fall, without the high voltage battery being charged past the minimum amount, I was seeing in the mid-20s, and I would fully expect the V60 to do that at a minimum, if not just a little bit better, given I've seen just a little bit higher of overall efficiency out of this vehicle. So if you don't plug this vehicle in, I would say you're going to be looking at somewhere around the 25 to 27 mpg range. Now, it does take premium fuel, so that will be a little bit knock in the pocket. But if you use the plug-in hybrid every single day, charge the battery up, you might not ever need to use fuel, or just very rarely use fuel, or if you like to drive it in a Polestar engineered mode like I do, it will use a combination of the two systems, so you still will get decent fuel economy. But I would say, somewhere in the mid-20s is probably a decent number, maybe up near 30 if you drive it fairly, lightly. But that is kind of another slight drawback, is the onboard level 2 charger for the V60 Polestar, just like that of the XC60, is limited to about 3.2 to 3.3 kilowatts, depending on the voltage and the charger that you have with the power going into it. So it does take just over 5 hours to go from a 0% to 100% state of charge. And that's not a huge deal for plug-in hybrids, because 120 or 240 will easily do it overnight, 12 plus hours. But you know, if you're doing a quick top up at work or just have a, you know, errand that happens to have a level 2 charger available and you want to plug it in, just note that you might not get the, I guess, full charge from this particular vehicle in a very quick amount of time compared to other plug-in hybrids, which do have, you know, a 7 or so kilowatt onboard level 2 charger, which reduces the time down to, you know, 2.5 to 3.5 hours. Now, unfortunately, we're coming up to a stop train, so I guess that gives me a little bit of additional time to give you guys my final thoughts and opinions on the V60 Polestar. Well, like I said, at $72,000 as equipped for this vehicle, it's really not a bad value proposition. It's very competitive in this class and was one of the more premium performance-oriented options at that given price point. Unfortunately, Volvo discontinued this vehicle last month, February 2025, and in terms of inventory, there are no new ones available to my knowledge. And on the used side of things, there's about 2 or 3 certified pre-owned units that I've been able to find nationwide, and this vehicle supposedly will be heading to auction next week. But outside of that, I really don't have any much, you know, more to say about this particular vehicle other than it's a shame that it's going away. It's extremely practical. The back seats are relatively spacious. You have all the features and amenities that one would want. And the only thing that I would love to see in a vehicle like this would be ventilated front seats, but unfortunately that was taken away for the Polestar vehicles. I wish they included that, but I think that would be the only thing that I could really find outside of those minor other you know, gripes such as the infotainment system and the LED headlights that I dislike about this car. I mean, it's truly one of the more perfect vehicles in the market that I would like to see still available on sale and would totally drive myself, but like I said, people just ultimately weren't buying these, so Volvo discontinued them, and hopefully they don't do the same with the rest of the wagon lineup, like a lot of articles have been hinting at recently. With all that being said, I think that is basically going to do it here for this video and my review of the 2025 Volvo V60 Polestar. Please hit that like button, subscribe if you guys haven't already. I want to give a huge thanks to Volvo for sending this vehicle out for me to test and review and experience. I am the last journalist to receive this vehicle and might be the last media influencer, however you want to categorize my channel, to ever get this vehicle from a manufacturer to review and make content with, which is crazy to see, but I think I'm going to take it as an honor because this is such a special vehicle, so unique, and I'm glad I got to experience it for a full week. So I'm just going to leave it at that. Make sure you guys check out the range test video I did, my dedicated likes and dislikes, and the other content I will be publishing on the V60 Polestar because there was some insanely impressive results from that range test, and that is just another reason you want to buy this car. Thank you guys for watching and supporting the channel and allowing me to have these opportunities. Make sure to pour one out here for the V60 Polestar. I'm going to enjoy my last couple days with this vehicle because well, I might never have the opportunity to drive one of these vehicles again, and I just wish I had the money to buy one. But that's going to do it. There's an awesome C30 Polestar, or R design, if you will, in that orange color. Those were awesome cars back in the day as well. Another one that got discontinued here from the market. And with all that being said, I'll see you guys in the next one.